Okay, let's talk about this assessment 1 review. What do you need to know? Okay, first things first, adding and subtracting. I don't care what you're adding or what you're subtracting, but if I was doing 26 plus 83, and notice this is written vertically, horizontally. I want you to write it vertically. In addition, does it matter which one goes on top and bottom? Absolutely not. And by the way, if you can do this thing horizontally, have at it. I just am more about the vertical method. Start here, 6 plus 3 is 9, 8 plus 2 is 10. Now let's just say we did another number and you got to do some carrying. So in other words, say I had 38 plus 65. Same idea, I'm going to set that thing up, I'm going to set it up vertically. 8 plus 5, 13. Put down the 3, carry the 1. 6 plus 3 is 9, plus 1, which is 10. 103. Okay? Got to know addition for sure. Got to know subtraction. I don't care what we have, so say I have, we'll start off something easy by saying something like 87 minus 63. Horizontal, I want to write it vertical. 87 minus 63. Does it have to be in this order? Yes, it does. If I take a look at this, this is the top number, this is the bottom number when you write this thing vertically. Start over here, 7 minus 3, which is 4. 8 minus 6, which is 2. Easy enough. Say I have a 3-digit. Say I have 300 minus 33. First number goes on top. Second number goes on the bottom. Now we have to borrow. Remember, we're doing that borrowing thing, saying, ooh, I can't do this. I could borrow from a 10. I like to go all the way over to do this. This is a 2, that's a 10, that's a 9, this is a 10. Notice I've borrowed all the way across, okay? Now you could say this is a 10 and you borrowed one, made it a 9. That's okay, because that's the 10s. So now I subtract 10 minus 3, which is 7, 9 minus 3, which is 6, and there's a 0 there, which is 267. Okay? Adding, subtracting, borrowing, writing things in a vertical method. Again, I'm not grading you on that. It's just the way that I do it. Okay? What else do I need to know? Do you have to know if 0 is on the top? The answer is 0. If 0 is on the bottom, the answer is undefined. Again, there's different ways that you can write this, but make sure that when you're writing it, this is basically saying 0 divided by 46. 0. 46 divided by 0, undefined. Cannot be in the denominator. Do you have to know on how to round? Answer is yes, you do. So, talk about this in a couple different ways. What if I want to round to the 10? You look to the right, 5 or more, you round up. So if I'm rounding here, I look here, none of the numbers changed before. None of the numbers changed before. But this is more than 5, so we've got to round this thing up. And everything that follows is a 0. Say I want to round it here. I look here. Well, that's below 5, so you keep it the same. The numbers that happen before the 6 stay the same. This stays the same because this is a 3. Everything else turns to 0. Okay? Got to know on how to round. Do you have to know on how to multiply or divide? Yes. So I don't care what we're multiplying. 26 times 4. Again, I would write this thing out vertically. 26 times 4. And remember, when I'm multiplying, start here. 6 times 4, which is 24. Carry the 2. Multiply here. 4 times 2 is 8 plus 2, which is 10. What if the numbers get bigger? I'll only go a 3-digit by a 2-digit. That's all. I'm not going to do a 3 by 3. But if I have 3, 2, 1, and 5, 6, and I'm multiplying those. You start with this 1s here, 6. Keep the 1, so I'm going here, I'm going here, and I'm going here. 6 times 2 is 12, carry the 1. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1, 19. When you move it over to the 5, you move it over 1. You can put a 0 there, move it over. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10, carry the 1. Well, I got 1 there. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1, 16. Add the columns, that's the last step. The last step, add columns. 6, 7, 9, 7, 1, 17,976. I'm not having you guys actually write that out in words. Again, not worried so much about it. I'm looking for the skill level. Okay. What about doing some division? Yep. So if I say, hey, I want to divide 99 divided by 3, how do I set it up? The second number always goes on the outside of the division sign. The first number goes underneath that square root sign. Now I have to do that long division. 3 times, good one, because I gave you the answer. How many times does 3 go into 9? 3. 3 times 3, which is 9, subtract. That's 0, bring down the next number. How many times does 3 go into 9? 3. 3 times 3, which is 9, subtract. You got a remainder of 0. Great. By the way, this is great. But again, notice what I did is that the pattern always continues. But what if I have something different? What if I have, let's go 677 divided by 4. Set it up. That's the first key. Doing the setup. Now ask myself those same questions. How many times does 4 go into 6? 1. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract. This is 2. Bring down the 7. How many times does 4 go into 27? Is this easy? No, it takes a little practice. How many times does 4 go into 27? 6. 6 times 4, which is 24. Subtract. That's 3. Bring down the 7. How many times does, notice the pattern continues. How many times does 4 go into 37? Hearing it from the back. 9, which is 36. Subtract. Ooh, I got a remainder of 1. How do I write that? Just after this last thing, put R1. That stands for remainder of 1. That's all you have to do. Okay, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, rounding. Cool, great. What else do you have to know? Well, in this case, remember that if you have something that looks like this, 3 minus a minus 2. Remember, if you have a minus and a minus side by side, that makes a positive. So this is saying 3 plus 2, which is 5. Now, dividing. When we were talking about multiplying and dividing negatives and positives, I feel like I need to go over this again. Hey, by the way, if you multiply a positive times a positive, you get a positive. If you multiply a negative times a positive, you get a negative. What happens when you multiply 2 negatives together? If you multiply 2 negatives together, you get a positive. The same thing goes with division. A positive divided by a positive is a positive. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. They follow the same rules. Okay? Next. solving. And this requires a little bit of, and by the way, you're still going to have to do things like order of operations. You're going to have to do, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, parentheses, exponents, multiplying, dividing. Remember, multiplying doesn't take precedent over dividing. You do it from left to right. Adding and subtracting, same idea, left to right. Whatever you see first, you do first. If you see subtraction, do first. Do that first. Okay, so if I'm solving equations, so if I just have this, 3x plus 3 is equal to 15. You always add or subtract before you multiply or divide. The goal, isolate the x. Get things away from the x, isolate it. Your goal is just to have an x or a y or a z. That's what you're after. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to subtract first. Opposites, you're thinking of this as algebra's opposite days. So that's all you're doing. It's also about balance. Whatever you do to one side of the equal sign, you got to do to the other. Okay? It's all about the balance. Those cancel out. 3x, that's what's left on this side, is equal to 12. Do the opposite. This says 3 times x, so you divide by 3. X is equal to, notice those cancel out. X is equal to 4. You've won. This was your goal, is to get this thing to have x is equal to 4. Now here's what I'll end up doing is, I'll end up doing a couple problems for everybody when you get back on Saturday. And then we'll do a couple practice problems, and then you'll take the assessment, and then we will blow out of here, okay? So, in the meantime, keep up with that MyLab math stuff, okay? That'll help you the more practice that you can get.